Welcome to Brown's Rod and Custom, your home for street rods, muscle cars, and Volkswagen content. This is my dad, Big Ron. He's our body man and fabricator. This is my beautiful wife, Megan, our editor-in-chief and supporter. And this is me, Adam, the designer and mechanic for our projects. If you find our videos helpful, like and subscribe for more content.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Brown's Rod and Custom. If you're watching this, please hit the subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. It would help us out a lot. Stay tuned. We got a lot more for you in this episode. Thanks for watching. Hey everybody, happy Easter. Welcome back to Brown's Rod and Custom. As you can see, we got the garage door shut and we're just kind of hanging out today. But we're still working. And I wanted to kind of give you a rundown of some things and kind of explain to you what's going to happen in the next phase of our build. Phase 2 is going to be the engine, okay, the 5.9 HO diesel, and there's a lot to do there, and I'm not a diesel mechanic and I've never worked on a diesel other than this one, so yeah, I'm learning quick. so what we're thinking here, actually let me just run you down what we have. So what you see right here, actually let me get that in there a little better, right there, is a 2003 Cummins Diesel out of a Dodge Ram 3500, and it is the HO version. There's a standard version, which is less horsepower, less torque, and there's an HO version. This is the HO. This came out of a Laramie truck that was basically completely loaded, so it had everything in it. Now this had, let's talk numbers, 305 horsepower. And I believe 550 foot-pounds of torque. So 305 horse, 550 torque. Good numbers. Runs good. It pulls good. No real issues for years. But as we've gone on down the road here, it's got some points of failure on it. That, especially now that we have it pulled out, that I can actually see, right? So we're going to fix those things, and that's where a lot of this extra work's going to come in. There's things we want to do, and there's things we have to do, right? So, and we'll kind of walk through all that here. But I think the big thing for this, and the big issue that we were having, besides transmission, just being old and needing rebuild, and you have to figure, this has 230 something thousand miles on it. Okay, multiple trips across the country, pulling trailers and campers and all kinds of things, right? So it has not been beat, but at the same time, it's been used. let's go with that. So so what we're looking at is kind of doing a OEM plus overhaul of this 5.9 HO. Okay, and by that, this is what I mean. We know we have a boost leak somewhere. We're putting out, I believe it's 21 pounds of boost under max throttle, full throttle, according to our boost gauge. Now the gauge could be wrong. I mean, that could be a thing, just in one of the regular gauges, but mechanical gauge. But let's assume the gauge isn't wrong. And just assume we have a boost leak. Now, obviously, I could have used a boost leak checker and hooked that up to the front of the turbo here and probably found it pretty quick. But I'm glad I didn't at this point, because I found a lot of other points of failure. So we were down on power. I'd say we're probably down 50 to 100 horsepower. Down on torque. And just, it wasn't as snappy as it used to be. It used to be a pretty quick truck. Now it's just kind of sluggish. I mean, it goes, but it doesn't go, if that makes sense. So what I want to do here, you guys know all about the transmissions getting rebuilt, going to be a stage 1 with a billet torque converter and all the things. So that's great. So that allows us to do this phase of this, right? So this phase. And this morning I came out here and I wrote down a list of what I wanted to do here. Kind of broke it down, right? And so I started with the hot side of the engine, okay? We're gonna go hot side, cold side, front. Okay, the back doesn't need anything. So when I say hot side, that's the turbo side. That's going to be the passenger side. Okay. Cold side is going to be the driver's side. That's where the intake and all the cold air goes in, right? This is where all the hot air comes out. So on the hot side, this side, I need to get new intercooler silicone boots and T-clamps. So my boots, like you see here, and we'll go over this a little better here in a minute, they're not good. The clamps were bad. I absolutely know I have a boost leak there, for sure. Now I've tightened these things down as tight as I can get them, but I mean, let's just be honest, they're from 2003. They're 20-something years old. Never been serviced or changed or anything else. They're starting to disintegrate and unravel. I mean, there's a piece of one right there. So that's definitely a thing. So that's going to happen. I would love to do a turbo upgrade. What I mean by that, okay, is to take the stock whole set turbo off, okay, and to put on a stock size turbo, but it's upgraded internals. So it spools faster, it's lighter internals, so on and so forth. Something that would give us somewhere in a range of about 100 horsepower. We're doing anywhere from 50 to 100 horsepower gain just by bolting it on. That's kind of the idea here, right? And I'm not looking to race. I'm not looking to do any of those things. This is strictly to pull better, just be easier and more fun to drive around town. But really it's so that when we pull these big hills and whatnot, that there's just some more power. This thing's breathing better. It's doing what it needs to be doing, right? So there's that. I need to put engine mounts on both sides. I'm going to replace those. I don't know if they truly need it, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't ever want to do it again. And then an oil change and a filter. That's what I got for the hot side, okay? I'm going to run the stock turbo manifold. None of that's going to change. It would just be unbolting these 4 bolts, drop this turbo out, pop a new one on, boom, go, okay? If and when we do that, I will absolutely bring that to you. It should be amazing and a whole lot of fun to do. Now, the front of the engine, this is just your basic maintenance stuff, but let me kind of go over where we're at here. So this alternator is the original alternator from 2003. Still works. We do have some issues. When you first start it up cold, your amp gauge, or volt gauge, or whatever you want to call it, sits at like 11-ish, somewhere in there. And if you give it any gas or let it run for a minute, it'll jump to 14, okay? I don't want to have that problem on the side of the road. And to be honest with you, I think we got our money's worth out of the stock alternator from 2003. So we're going to put a new alternator on it, but we're not going to buy just like a cheap O'Reilly's alternator. I'd like to get a good one. I would love to find an OEM one that's brand new that I could put on here because, you know, this one worked really well. So alternator, I'm going to do a new water pump, which is right here. These are very easy to do. It's 2 bolts, okay? So we're going to put a new alternator on, or alternator and water pump. Water pump is pretty simple. It's 2 bolts, really. I mean, it should pop right off. Pop the belt off and 2 bolts and it comes off. But again, I'm going to try to get a Cummins branded water pump. Why not? I found them on eBay for about 66 bucks. If you try to buy them from a store, they're like 250, right? So, yeah, it's brand new in a Cummins box, Cummins part number, Cummins logo on it, looks brand new. I'm going to go with that. Why not? Belt tensioner. We were starting to get a little bit of noise from the front. I believe it was the tensioner. So we're going to replace that again with probably a Cummins branded. I found them for like $100 and a quarter, $125, something like that. So we'll go with that. Obviously a new belt just because we're here. No other reason than why not. And I want to put a new thermostat in here. Okay, I'll also get a Cummins thermostat. Figure out whatever temperature these run, and we're going to go with that. So that's going to kind of do it for the front. Now it already has a new AC compressor, so that's new. Oh, the other thing that it needs is a fan clutch, okay, which goes right here, mounted in the middle of the big mechanical fan that's spinning here. So I need to get a fan clutch. So that's something else here. Now, the cold side. There's a lot going on over there. You've got the entire fuel system. You have an ECU. You have throttle, basically throttle bracket, I guess you would call it, or throttle cable, intake manifold, all of the things, right? Bunch of coolant lines, there's a transmission oil cooler that's over there. I need to change out pretty much all of it. So I'm gonna go over to the other side. I'm gonna set you up over there, and then I'll kind of walk you through that, because this is the easy part. What I just went over is like super simple. We could do all of this less than a day, probably half a day, honestly, if it was all sitting here with all the parts. So, including the turbo upgrade. But the other side, not so much. This is the cold side of the 5.9 HO. So basically what we're going to do, all right, this is your intake manifold right here. We are going to replace this with a Banks Monster Ram. It'll be bright red with white lettering. It says Banks Monster Ram. It's pretty badass. And underneath of this is the grid heater. So basically, if you go to start this and it's cold outside, that's what helps warm everything up and so on. I'm going to replace that with a new one from Cummins just because. You can delete these and gain I think it's like half a pound of boost. But we have always talked about doing a trip to Alaska, and I don't want to go to Alaska and not have that option. So for the sake of that, and we go north a lot to Cincinnati and whatnot, I'm going to keep that. So Banks Monster Ram, new grid heater. Now the fuel system, let's kind of look at this, okay? So if you can see this right here, this is the OEM diesel fuel filter, okay? Now, and this is the pump or whatever. Yeah, it's the fuel pump. So you have the CP3 fuel pump up here, the big one, and then there's another pump. I forget the name of it at the time. Now this has been eliminated. We are using the Air Dog on the fuel filter and water separator on the frame, so we don't need this. And a lot of it's been unhooked and doesn't go to anything and so on and so forth. So what I did is a company called Fleece sells a delete kit for this, okay? So I'm gonna remove this whole deal here, okay? And basically what happens is this line here going to the side of that block that's gonna mount here. And there's two spots for this, boom, and it cleans it up, and that's pretty much it. Now there's a provision on the bottom for the water and fuel sensor, which I'll probably put back in it, even though without this, I don't know how you would ever know, but we'll do that. Because we don't exactly have a tune on the truck or anything like that to actually tune that out of it or turn it off. So for now, this is getting deleted. Now I just bought, literally like 10 minutes ago, the Fleece delete kit for this. So that's coming, all right? Now, once this monster is out of the way, that opens up a lot of things you can see, right? So this is your cruise control that's just hanging here, but it gets hooked back up once we get this in the truck. But look at this fuel rail, okay? It's gross. Maybe in here. It's gross, okay? So I found a new fuel rail sitting on a shelf with the sensor and all the things. Long story short, I offered $105. They usually run between $250 $300. I offered $105 plus shipping, and I got it on eBay, and it's on its way. So we have a brand new Bosch
OEM fuel rail coming with the new sensor and all that. Instead of trying to clean this up, it's pretty highly corroded. It was just easier to buy a new one. So I bought a new one. Now you see a bunch of lines here, okay? They're all over this thing here. So we have new lines that go to all the injector lines, okay? Like this one goes here, right? Let's see if you can see that. That one would go here, right? Boom. You've also got like this one that goes to this next one, so on and so forth. So we have all these lines. I have them, actually, you can probably see them sitting up here. I've got them laid out. Now, so clearly, we're gonna have this deleted, new fuel rail, new fuel lines to the injectors, right? But that still leaves a few lines that are rough. These are pretty rough. I mean, I feel like if I tried to take these off, I would take a chance of snapping this one right here for sure. And this one here, and so on and so forth. So this line here goes from the back of the head, okay, back here, get you over here. It comes back here, comes around through this bracket down, attaches to the delete plate that we just did for the fuel filter, and then comes down. And then there's a line, actually it's a return line from the tank all the way up, attaches to this line, okay? So I have to buy this line because ours snapped down here where the two connect. Yeah, where it connects right here. Let's see if that'll even focus. Anyway, it's snapped off inside of here. I could probably get it out, but long story short, I have this line new. What I don't have is this line. So I'm gonna swap this line out. Now this line here is incredibly fucking expensive. It's ridiculous. I believe it's like $170 for this line. So, and that's something to remember. When you're dealing with a diesel or a heavy duty truck, the parts are just outrageous. Okay, so doing some of the stuff that you would think would cost more, like a turbo upgrade, is like $1,000, right? $1,000, $1,200 depending on which one you want to go with. That's awesome. You would expect that to be $2,000, $3,000. But like this fuel rail, I got lucky, you know, but that's $300, right? I still need this line that comes down and then goes over to the CP3, the fuel return line. That one there is another $160. So there's things, right, that we got to order still that I'm looking for to find a better deal on at the moment, but it is what it is. So I basically have everything to remove this, to replace this, to replace all the lines to the injectors. I did buy the line you see right here coming out. It comes out of the bottom of the fuel rail and goes into the CB3 fuel pump over here. I found that at, I believe it was Thoroughbred Diesel, the same place I got the delete plate, the fleece delete kit. It was like $70 for that line from Cummins. It's a Cummins branded line, brand new. So, so we'll have a new line coming in from the CB3. We'll have a new fuel rail. We'll have new sensor. We'll have all new lines. Boom, right? We have an issue with an injector. I do not know which one. I do not know how to test that. I'm sure I'm going to figure this out. But you know, this having 230,000 miles, it needs injectors, right? So we're going to put injectors in it. Now, you can go to any of these diesel companies and buy new injectors for sure, or upgraded injectors or all the things. But you're going to spend a couple $1,000s, easy. You know, it's anywhere from I think like $1,800 to like $5,000 for 6 injectors. And it depends on the level of, is it OEM? Do you want to go 5%? Do you want to go 15%, 90%, so on and so forth? Which all that does is the more fuel, more horsepower, right? We're going stock. I'm going to put a set of stock Bosch injectors back in this. I have no desire to up that. I know I could, and it would help me reach my goals
and all of that, but I'm not going to spend that kind of money. So I did find on eBay, I know I shop a lot on eBay, guys, and it usually doesn't screw me. So Bosch injectors, Cummins branded Bosch injectors, are running about anywhere from $550 to $700 with the injector tubes for a set of 6, brand new. I'm good with that. Again, injectors and injector tubes are going to happen. They're going to be stock Bosch OEM injectors that I'm going to get off of eBay for a third of the price. And that'll be just fine. And if it screws me, well, then I'll buy the good ones. But this should be, I should in theory be okay. So I'm going to give it a shot. Now in doing that, I have to take all of this off in this plate here, okay? Which is totally fine. I got to take the rocker arms off. There's a bunch of stuff you got to take off to get in there, but we're going to do that, and we're going to go over that step by step with you guys so you guys know how to do it. I think the big thing is don't be afraid of it, and don't be stupid. That's gotta take your time and just get through it. So we're doing injectors, injector tubes, new fuel lines, new fuel rail, all new supply and return lines for the fuel, fuel filter delete kit. We've already got the Air Dog fuel filter and pump system with the water separator mounted on the frame. We've got the CP3, which I've already put the new sensor on. I don't remember what it was called. I did it back in Taos like 6 months, maybe a year ago. Might have been 2 years ago. Anyway, a while ago, but it's still brand new. The CP3 is working great. I don't have a problem with the fuel pump. And for those of you wondering what the hell a CP3 is, that is the designation for the fuel pump on the 5.9 Cummins. It's a CP3 fuel pump. So we're going to take care of that. Now, we got other issues. So basically, all the fuel is going to be new. That's what we're doing. All the fuel is going to be new. New Monster Ram intake up here, you know, which should give us some better airflow and, you know, so on coming in. And we're going to obviously take this block down as far as we can, degrease it, clean it, scrub it, scrape it, do all the things. And then Pour 15 makes an engine coating. I'm going to do that in gloss black. So I'm going to paint the engine black. As I take all this off, I can get to it. So I'm going to go in there and get it all where it needs to be, paint it, come back the next day, install all of this, right? Now, here's something else that needs to be addressed. I'll zoom in here. Let's get you down here. This guy, okay? So this is on the back side of the engine on the driver's side. Damn near impossible to get to in the truck, okay? This is the transmission oil cooler, okay? I'm gonna replace this with one from Moto from Thoroughbred Diesel. It's about $170, give or take. I believe it truly needs it, okay? So I'm gonna replace this. Now, here's the thing. This line you see here, coming out of here and coming around the back of the engine and over here, is deteriorated in multiple places, okay? And so I'm gonna replace this. I'm replacing all the lines that go to this because they all look terrible. And these are the points of failure that I could not see with it in the actual truck. So this is going to get handled here. And as we talked about earlier, we're also doing engine mount, transmission mounts, all that. Now, I'll show you this here. I'm trying to not move the camera a lot, but I'll show you here. So, here's those points of failure I'm talking about. See that right there? You got another one there. You got another one there. Not great, right? So these are the lines that we're going to replace off of this transmission oil cooler that's right back here, okay? Now, when I do the injectors, if you look at this, you can see my oil leak that
I've got oil all over this thing. It's coming from here. Okay, so there's a gasket that goes there, and when I take, this is the valve cover. Then there's this other one. I'm going to call it the rocker galley or something like that, valley pan or something I think they call it. This one. So I'm going to replace this gasket and this gasket. This one should solve my problem, my oil leak problem. So I'm excited about that. This is that other fuel line I was telling you about that comes out of the back of the head, comes up and over, down, and then goes into that line that broke. Here's all those fuel lines I was telling you about. Here's all the new ones. So there's stuff, right? There's a lot of things that need to be just dialed in on this engine. We will adjust our lifters and those things as well, and kind of go through that. But that's what's going to happen here. You know what's happening there to the transmission. Transfer case is, we're just going to wash it basically with Dawn and degreaser and clean it up. But in theory, when you take this engine, the way we just talked about it, with an upgraded turbo, all the new accessories, all the things, new stage 1 transmission, all of this together, new fuel system, and you walk out here and you set it into this frame, well, you've really kind of got something, and that's the idea. As far as longevity, and we're not trying again to race Big Red here or do anything stupid. We just want it to tow a little better, have more of the power of a new one, of a new Dodge, you know, being that 400 horse range instead of 305, and you know, do the things it does maybe a little better than it has been, and that's kind of the idea. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. Happy Easter. Hope you guys are having a great day, and we are going to cook some dinner here and get back to it. But I wanted to kind of go over the engine with you, some stuff that I bought, things that are starting to filter in, that all happened today, and just kind of keep you in the loop on what's going to happen here. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate y'all. Stay tuned, and we will be back tomorrow. We'll be back out there working on the trailer hitch and the back bumper deal, and starting to work on the cab. So rush repair on the cab. So stay tuned for all that, and we'll see you tomorrow.